I'm Irish, like you.
Real Irish, or been living in Australia for 7 generations and still claiming to be Irish?
Roland and Kiwi are a very ill-matched couple. He's a techno nerd. He plays this weird instrument, the theremin, which is an electronic instrument. It's the only instrument in the world you don't touch when you play it. And he's very, very opinionated. He's got very strong opinions about music, etc. And Kiva's this easygoing fiddle player, but somewhat trapped in a rut. Her life has got into a cycle. Her mother died. Her father and mother had a band, and when her mother died, she took over in the band and somehow fell into her mother's life.
Music has been a huge part of her life. Her mum was a fiddle player, and her dad is obviously a great singer, guitar player, musician all round. She's in the WRENN, which is an Irish folk cover band. She was a really well-rounded character, and you don't find that a lot. And a huge part of that, I think, is the comedy. To have a character who is very real and very human, but also incredibly funny and is fun. There is a lot missing in her life as well. You know, there's some balance she needs to find, and she needs to kind of forge ahead and make her own life as well, which is a lot of what Roland challenges her with, and she has to really confront that.
I'm not lost because I'm not going anywhere. You are, and you're wasted in the Warrikins.
There is, you know, there's a lot of similarities between him and a theremin, you know? He's a tech geek. He's quite a rigid sort of fellow, and opinionated.
Punters loved Hitler.
Kind of awkward with the ladies.
Really? Nice, thank you.
But no less vocal.
It's actually a mobile bomb factory.
He takes the world so seriously, but obviously I think he warms up, he realises this about himself a little bit through her. You know, I think through her he meets his match intellectually, and, you know, like all good pairings, she sort of teaches him a lot about himself as the film goes on.
Queenie, the sort of, I suppose, the heart of the festival, and in that respect, the heart of our movie, the sort of queen bee who broadcasts this little radio show from the festival and keeps an eye on everybody and seems to know what's going on and sometimes even manipulates things a little bit. She says that she sees the festival as Australia in a tent, because so many people who would never normally meet.
So she's this real glue that kind of ties everything together in the film. You know, she's the one that's there year in, year out, doing this radio show.
We have the wonderful Michael Caton playing Henry, a Morris dancer. A lot of Australians don't know what Morris dancing is, but the tradition carries on here in Western Australia. It's a folk dance tradition from England, dating back to the Middle Ages and before, I guess.
Henry's a man who's hasn't been dealt the best hand in life. I mean, he was one of those English kids that were brought out here after the war and put to work, and that's all he's known. And now, at the opening of our film, he's just lost his wife, and he's at a sort of a crisis point where he's lost his rudder.
He's an old man who, when you see him, you assume to be very set in his ways. And yet, by the end, he realizes that, you know, he may not be as clear and as he thinks in his view of the world, and still finds it in himself to change. And that is mirrored through a lot of the other people in the stories.